Spider-Man Homecoming is finally here. He's back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where he belongs. Sony still had some rights to him, but they let Marvel borrow him for a few movies, and we're okay with that. We'll accept, we'll take what we can get for now. But let me tell you, I was never as excited for my own homecoming as I was for Peter Parker's fictitious homecoming. So there's been a ton of hype behind this movie, obviously, since, it was mentioned that Marvel had the rights to a Spider-Man movie. Everybody's super excited about it. When they said that the Vulture was going to be the main villain, I instantly got a little skeptical. I was like, yeah, I never really liked the Vulture. He's kind of like a side villain kind of thing, and I don't know. I'm not real thrilled about the villain, about the Vulture being the villain. Michael Keaton's going to play the Vulture. I'm for it! How can you go wrong with Michael Keaton playing any form of a bird whatsoever? I mean, he's done Batman, he's done Birdman, and now he's done the Vulture. He can never play a bad bird. So, well, he plays a bad bird in this, which he was really good at playing a bad bird. But, man, Michael Keaton just, how can you go wrong with Michael Keaton? He was awesome. He did such a good job, and it just brought the level of acting way up, bringing in Michael Keaton for a Marvel movie. That's awesome. I gotta be honest, our movie started out a little rocky at first because we were like the first IMAX 3D showing on a Thursday night, and 7 o'clock rolls around, blank screen. And we stared at a blank screen for probably 15 minutes. Kept seeing the managers walk in the theater, walk out of the theater. Some people got up and walked down to go talk to the managers quite a few times. So about 15 minutes of us looking at a blank screen. Then finally the previews start rolling. And then we get through all the previews. The movie starts. And it's not in 3D. Everybody's wearing the 3D glasses and realizing, hey, this isn't in 3D. So then the nerds are really getting up in arms. And I thought we were going to have a nerd riot on our hands. And so then the manager had to come back in and say, we're working on it, technical difficulties, the download, blah, blah, blah. Nerds behind us are yelling like, where's the movie? It's not in 3D and all this. So it got a little intense with some of the nerds behind us and everything, but they eventually get the movie restarted. We had already seen about 5 minutes of it from the first time it was started, so they start it back over from the beginning. This time it's in 3D. Everybody's happy, except they forgot to turn off the lights, and all the nerds start yelling, turn off the lights! Turn off the lights! And so they eventually get it all figured out, and we get to enjoy the movie with no more mishaps. And but man, I thought we were going to have a nerd riot on our hands for a few minutes there. It's kind of entertaining. Now, people are already asking me, my friends are asking me, texting me, calling me, whatever, and they're all asking me, so was it the best Spider-Man movie of all time? I haven't decided yet. And I know we've had like 100 different Spider-Man movies by now, but this one is so different from the other two previous versions of Spider-Man. I think some people are going to love it. Some people are going to take issue with a lot of things in this movie. But it's so different from the other ones, I don't even know where to rank it, really. I mean, I love the movie. It was enjoyable. I really don't know if I like Tom Holland better than Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I mean, I really like the first two Spider-Man movies. So it's really hard to place this one for me personally. Some people, right off the bat, they're going to say, oh, I love this one. This is my favorite one ever. Some people are going to say, oh, it's terrible. Spider-Man's never like this. And I really don't know. I can't sit here and try to tell you that I know Spider-Man canon and all that because I've never read a Spider-Man comic book. But some people, my friends that went with me to the movie, they were saying it all lines up pretty well with some of the comics. So, it's going to be hit or miss with people, honestly. The big differences with this Spider-Man and the previous Spider-Mans, we've already seen that Tony Stark provides him the suit in the Captain America movie, but the suit is more along the lines of like an Iron Man suit at this point, and there's so many technical advances to it that it's, like I said, it's so different from any other Spider-Man incarnation. So some people might take issue with, the technical suit. I really don't know. There was times where I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this suit so much, because it didn't come off as, Spider-Man-ish to me. Some people are going to love it. Another thing that I kind of myself noticed was, and I don't know that I took issue with it, but I noticed it. This guy, Tom Holland, this Spider-Man, he is so spastic throughout the whole movie, and he's just going 100 miles an hour constantly throughout the whole movie. And I told one friend that it was kind of like comparable to uh, Shia LaBeouf in the Transformers movies. Like, the kid's all over the place, and I think that's going to get on some people's nerves. Honestly, I don't know if that's it's funny, but I think some people it might annoy some people, honestly. And I already heard people coming out of the theater, complaining a little bit, saying like, well, it wasn't an origin story. We didn't get. One of my friends was kind of disappointed that we didn't get an Uncle Ben character. But they're kind of bypassing all that because we've seen it so many times already. And no, this isn't an origin story per se, but it is a good starting point as far as he still has to adapt to this new suit. He's still learning his powers and abilities. So he's still going through this like training phase, becoming what we know as Spider-Man the hero. So it's still a good, it's not exactly an origin story, but it's still a very good starting point for the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man going forward. Now just forget about the negative comments for a second and wrap your head around how cool is it that we get Iron Man in a Spider-Man movie. That's the coolest thing ever, to see Iron Man and Spider-Man in the same movie. And yeah, we had Captain America, but this is a Spider-Man movie. I know I said before that it's kind of hard for me to place this one as it relates to other Spider-Mans. Spider-Man itself, that's kind of difficult for me to place it. But the fact that Iron Man is part of this movie, I think that automatically shoots this one to number one Spider-Man movie for me. Big Iron Man fan, so I think, maybe I'm biased, but for that reason alone, I'd probably say this is probably the best Spider-Man movie that's been made. And not to give too much away, but, aside from Iron Man, this movie is loaded with Easter eggs. Man, they play the Avengers music in this movie, and it gives you goosebumps to hear the Avengers theme song in a Spider-Man movie. But given Disney's recent buyouts of all these major properties, not only do we get all these Marvel Easter eggs, but this movie is slapped full of Star Wars Easter eggs, and it's like the coolest thing ever. They're referencing the movies. They're showing products like toys and all kinds of T-shirts. I think there was in this, but there's all kinds of Star Wars references all throughout the movie, and so it's like the worlds are colliding. Star Wars and Marvel are meshing as one, and it's just so cool to be able to see these crossovers. That was enough to quiet the nerds down from the technical difficulties before the movie started. And now it's time for the Grossbusters Reviews specialty, the Parental Advisory Review. Spider-Man Homecoming is rated PG-13 for sci-fi action violence, some language, and brief suggestive comments. Give you a quick rundown of the list of some language that they're suggesting. There are 6 HE double hockey sticks, 5 variations of ASS, 4 D not darn words, 3 S-word shiitakes, 2 bass turds, and some other random terms and incidences include friggin', that sucks, pretty ballsy, screwed the pooch, a middle finger is used, and the term what the f, where it cuts off just like that. That's used in the movie as well. There's also a scene where some teenage girls are having the conversation as to which Avengers they would choose to F, marry, or kill. The F is said just like that, but that's 2 F-word references within the movie. There's also a scene where Peter's friend is assisting him via computer within the school library after hours, and when he's caught in the library by a teacher, the teacher asks, "What are you doing in here?" And he kind of stumbles for a response, which he eventually comes up with, looking at porn. And he's saying it as if to indicate that that will be an acceptable answer to avoid getting in trouble. So there is that. I know I've read a few things online where some parents are taking issue with that statement because of the way it's said and used. So just want to make you aware of that. And more than anything in the movie, there's this kid that bullies Peter Parker throughout the movie, and he constantly refers to him. This comes up several times throughout the movie. Constantly refers to him as Penis Parker. It's all throughout the movie. And just a couple other things worth mentioning are that there is a scene where Aunt May and Peter are out to dinner. Aunt May is drinking a beer at dinner. And in another scene, Peter is offered a drink, but he responds he's too young. And given that this is a superhero Marvel movie, there's obviously going to be some fighting action within the movie. That's a given. But as far as intensity for younger viewers, it does show one guy get incinerated and basically disintegrate right in front of the camera. And the main villain, the Vulture, he's kind of made up to be pretty intense at times. Visually, his attitude, his anger, it's pretty intense at times. So that may scare some of the younger kids if they're seeing this movie. So given all that information and seeing the movie, it's clearly not made for kids. It's not made with the intention to please kids. This is made more for teenagers and up. I think more specifically, it's made with teenagers in mind, and they're trying to reach that audience more so, to carry them on to the rest of the movies, because that's going to be, into the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those kids are going to get to be our age as these movies are coming out, so they're trying to rope them in now too. So as if Marvel needs to draw in or cater to any certain demographic they're not already reaching anyways, where people are literally saying, "Take my money, take it, please." Our movie started 30 minutes late last night, and people were literally yelling in the theater, "Take my money, Marvel, please, just take it." So, made more specifically for teenagers, but the older audience is definitely going to accept it and enjoy it. Younger kids, I think parents are going to be left feeling more awkward watching this with their younger kids, because there's things in it that you're probably just not going to expect coming. Now you're probably thinking that it's a given that I'm going to end this video by saying, with great power comes great responsibility. But that's not the case. In this case, I'm going to end it by saying, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. But that sounds kind of weird, so probably should have just stuck with great power comes great responsibility. Hey Happy, it's Peter Parker. Just got out of the movie. My movie, that was pretty neat. But thought I may have missed your call. But just let Mr. Stark know that if he's got any missions that come up, I'm available whenever he needs me. So call me back anytime. Doesn't matter. If I don't hear back from you, I'll call tomorrow.